Greetings, fellow Marvelites. This is Werewolf 2112 back for another installment of Denizens of the Marvel Universe. This is my fourth time trying to record this. Hopefully, fourth time is the charm. Um, today's denizen is, as you can see, Sentry, who I erroneously blah, 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 referred to as Marvel's version of Superman, which is completely wrong. Marvel's version of Superman hasn't had a Marvel Legend yet. So I won't be doing a Denizens on Hyperion until they put me out a toy to show y'all. Anyway, this is Sentry, and he is more or less Marvel's take on Shazam. Um, the Shazam and Black Adam characters mixed into one. Sentry began life as a hoax. Um, Back in 2000, Marvel released a press release, and Wizard Comic Magazine backed it up by saying that Marvel had discovered a long lost Stan Lee creation, drawn by a fictitious artist named Artie Rawson. The Sentry was supposed to be a Superman like character for the Marvel Universe. However, that was all false. In reality, he was created in 2000 by Paul Jenkins and Jay Lee. Now, the Sentry's powers derive from a form of the super soldier serum uh, that is said to be 1,000 times more potent than the one given to Captain America, and as well as being augmented by those twisted bastards at Weapon X. Go ask Wolverine what he thinks about those guys, or Deadpool. Um, anyway, the serum results in Robert Reynolds, or Sentry's, powers or molecules being uh, just ahead in the time stream, um, which for some reason gives him like godlike strength, superior speed, godlike durability. The guy's unkillable. He can. It's said that he's Spider-Man has said that Sentry is one of the few people who could hold Galactus to a standstill, to a stalemate. Um, he can beat down the Hulk and put up with the Hulk. So I mean, the guy is super strong, but he often suppresses his powers. Um, he has mental abilities, though they're usually kept used to keep him in check. Sentry is one of the few characters who's broken down the fourth wall in comics by supposedly implanting his memories into a comic writer, Paul Jenkins. And this is actually in the comics, folks. I don't make this stuff up. But Paul did, and it was pretty ingenious. Um, Sentry also emits a radiation that actually calms the Incredible Hulk. And as I stated, he's one of the Incredible Hulk's real good friends. Um, he calls him Yellow Man. But Sentry has to constantly keep his powers repressed. With all this great power comes great responsibility. At least that's what Uncle Ben told Peter Parker, and we've had it beaten into our heads. Well, imagine if all this great power resulted in a suppressed personality coming out and killing hundreds of people. That's the type of responsibility that Sentry has to deal with. Sentry has to keep his powers at bay because if he lets loose a little too much, then the Void comes out. And the Void is very, very evil. He's a shape shifting mass of evilness who delights in undoing all the good that Sentry does. Uh, and the trick is that they're the same person, so how do you defeat that? Well, you make the human part of the character forget. And so Reed Richards, Doctor Strange, and Sentry wiped out his memory from existence. As I stated, his he's been retconned into the Marvel universe, so um, that was kind of their way of fixing that. You know, everybody's memories were erased. Um, However, Robert Reynolds does start regaining his memories, and he imprisons himself in the Raft. The Raft is a super criminal prison, and during a breakout, a bunch of heroes get caught up in the swarm of villainy breaking out of the Raft, and Sentry finally decides to help. Um, and his way of helping was to, and this is probably his crowning achievement as a hero so far in comics. He flies into space and he rips Carnage in half and leaves him in space. Also, during the House of M, he threw the collective of all mutant energy into the sun, as per my Zorn story. Um, the Avengers invite Sentry to join them, but he reluctantly says no until Emma Frost does a mind probe and reveals that the general who had administered his serum had hired the mutant mastermind to place mental devices into Sentry's head, causing him to forget and helping him go out of control. She removes the devices, and Sentry is said to be okay. However, Sentry suffers from a very acute case of agoraphobia, and on top of that, the responsibility of not wanting to let loose with his powers. Sentry is often in his watchtower, which stays afloat in the atmosphere above Stark Towers, and he often stays there and is very solitary. He doesn't like being around a lot of people at all, um, including his peers. He's very, very solitary. Um, it took World War Hulk to get him to come back down. He came down briefly during the Civil War to hunt down Wolverine, and that didn't go over too well. You got two pretty much unkillable characters fighting each other. Sentry said he really didn't want to do it. He goes away. He sided during the Civil War. He sided with Tony Stark, and while Wolverine didn't necessarily side with Tony Stark, or didn't necessarily take sides against Tony Stark, it's pretty much taken for granted that Wolverine is against registration, and that pitted them against each other briefly. But Sentry stopped the encounter and went on his merry little way. Went back to his watchtower to be by himself. Then World War Hulk started, and at first Sentry said his agoraphobia could he just couldn't deal with it. He didn't want to be there. Sorry, Tony Stark, you're gonna have to fix it yourself. And he's watching on TV in his little apartment, and he sees that the Hulk is forcing Reed Richards to kill Tony Stark. And Sentry finally changes his mind and goes to stand to fight the Hulk to a standstill yet again. The result of which is them both reverting back to their human forms. And the ultimate result, of course, apparently is the Red Hulk that's running around rampant in Hulk now. Um, but anyway, that's a little bit on Sentry. I know it's a little confusing, contorted. Now, probably going to take a break from the Denizens videos while I decide what character to do next, and bring back a couple more Transformers reviews. I think I'm going to start releasing them under Wheeljack Shop Files, and so look for those. Since my Transformers Matrix name is Wheeljack ED, figured I'd use that. Until next time, Excelsior.